without further ado, let's get on to the Q&A segment. All right. The first questions we have received is pertaining to pig farming. And the question is asking, what is the approximate infrastructure cost or investment cost, perhaps on a per 1,000 outstanding pig basis to the investors? And from our experience in the Pasir Puteh pig farming area. And of course, the questions also ask for the main components of such infrastructure costs. I suppose these questions could be appropriate for our speakers from DBSS to answer that.
Thank you, Ms. MC. I think for the exact pricing, Dr. Ng is the most appropriate to answer this, because the range of his based on his experience. I would like Dr. Ng to respond.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Adrian. Yeah, talking about cost of infrastructure. Now, basically for 1,000 pigs, probably you just need to build a single. If you are not having any, if in a PFA Pasir Puteh, you probably don't have to build any sheds for the south, for the far away. Probably you only need winners and finishing house. Of course, if we have to build up the standard closed house system with forced ventilation, and then with all the slatted floors, and then cooling system. I think for the infrastructure, for the houses alone, probably may cost you slightly more than $1 million to build actually. Yeah, assuming live pigs probably take up to 12 to 15 square feet per pig. And then you are fattening up to 100 kilos. So that should be the figure, 1 to 1.5 million. Yeah, that will be sufficient. Of course, that is on the condition that you are inside the PFA, but if you are outside, you should be looking at the water, the waste management, electricity supply, roads, and then that will be a lot more than that. Yeah, there will be a lot more. Okay, I think that should answer the question. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ng, for answering the questions. Yeah, something our potential investors would like to know for sure. And maybe related to this, Dr. Ng, since you are, in the picture at the moment. Now, what about challenges, that you face in the recent 1-2 years, and how did you overcome such, issues?
Actually, this 1-2 years, I think the main concern is diseases, be it human COVID or pig diseases. Actually, it's very challenging. Like this, the last 1-2 years, basically because of the COVID, you can't do very much, especially on the construction. The expansion plan, everything is have to be on hold, and then on top of that, you have the diseases in the villages, among your workers, among your suppliers, police roadblock all the way, and then so you hardly move anything, in this 1-2 years. Raw material also difficult to come in because your drivers are in lockdown, trucks are not allowed to move, workers are not allowed to come to work, and then sailors are not allowed to port. So all these challenges will have an effect on how smooth you can supply, how soon you can send your pigs to Singapore, because we are talking about every week you have a shipment going there. Any delay at any time, then your schedule will be off. So this is really challenging in these 2 years to make our pig arrive on that exact date, and then make sure the pigs arrive in good conditions. That really challenge us. And then I think we are all stretched out. It's not only me, everybody, I think, in the industry is being stretched out. And then, of course, to overcome this, we really have to find a lot of resources got to be very sharp, got to be very fast, and then a lot of preemptive strike we really have to take. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ng. Yes, you are absolutely right. We have to be so much more resourceful during such a challenging, situation that we face these days, and this happens to many businesses. Yeah, we're glad to be still receiving our regular shipment from Sarawak. Yeah. Okay, another questions I see the chat box is asking about the egg farm of Dr. Tan of Lian Hua Seng. The questions ask about the Singapore Food Agency accreditation that the farm has applied for, and we understand this is being processed, and very soon consumers in Singapore will get to taste eggs from Lian Hua Seng farm. Is that right, Dr. Tan?
Yeah. So actually, so we are still waiting for the farm accreditations by SFA Singapore. So at this point of the moment, we are trying to maintain our productions, and then all the criteria which I think is supposed to be required by Singapore, we are trying to have that in our farms. So in terms of like any business opportunities, we can have like joint venture or whatever. So that is very much welcome. So.
Right. So these will give a very direct response, replying to the answer that we have. Yeah. Okay. Let's see. Moving down the Q&A chat box. Let's see whether there's another questions. Yes, indeed. Well, it's also asking, for Booming Group, Mr. Richard, all right, the question asks about your plan beyond your Sarawak market, where you have your products in many retail places and supermarket. What is the immediate plans for your export market, and perhaps gaining accreditation with Singapore Food Agency very soon?
We are actually still trying to fulfill our local demand for our poultry. So in near future, we are definitely looking at exporting to Singapore. That's one of my dreams, to be able to export to Singapore. So I would say in the next 5 years, we can work towards that direction.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, so you are basically fulfilling your domestic demand, but at the same time, I'm sure you welcome foreign investors.
Yes, that's right.
To scale up the capacity of the production.
Yes, we can work together with foreign investors as well.
Right. And related to this, Mr. Richard, there is a question from a audience asking for your processing of the waste. Do you kind of use the waste to recycle in some way?
Actually, the waste from our slaughtering plant, we recycle everything except for the feathers. Feathers, we don't have any further process for our feathers, so we just throw it away. So if someone wants the feathers, welcome to look for me.
Okay, that's good to know. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, should you have more questions for our speakers and panelists, you can still continue to key in your queries beyond the end of this webinar, and we'll get on to that. You have to address your query.